Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Eh.
We got quite a bit to talk about this week through Raw, through SmackDown, through NXT. But one place that we're going to start off with is on Raw. And we've got the Iconics, they returned a little while ago. They had a match with Bliss and Cross, they won. They had a title match, they lost. There was a slap that didn't happen at all. Didn't happen. Because the Iconics were on the same page this week. And they attacked Bliss and Cross, showed their intentions that they're still heading for those titles as a unit.
Yeah, for now.
No, forever. You're forgetting that, the Iconics will never break up, and that they are the best duo ever. And that they are going to continue in this women's tag team division. To be fair, as we discussed last week, there's not a whole lot else in this women's tag team division. So this feud at least will last a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's got to. Who else is there?
But they can't break up. They're not going to break up. It's not going to happen. Stop telling me it's going to happen. I don't believe you.
I'm just trying to ease the pain when it actually does happen.
I won't accept it. But we've known that, again, talking about divisions that are not doing a whole lot at the moment, ones that we focused on last week, but we're going to revisit this week. Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders. This week, they went out and did a little bit of golf.
What can you say? They're trying to do all kinds of stuff to that don't involve them fighting.
We all know eventually these two are going to have to get back in the ring and have a match, right?
Yeah, it's only a matter of time.
Is that a match we're going to see at Backlash, do you think?
It's probably likely.
At the moment, they appear to... The Street Profits are obviously up 2-1. They won golf, they won basketball, and they lost axe tossing. So what will we see next week? And who's going to win it? That's the big question.
I'll go with archery.
Okay.
And obviously that would be something that would be leaning towards the Vikings.
Yeah. Well, the Vikings are pretty good when it comes to that sort of combat-y stuff, as we saw with the axe throwing. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to take out an archery competition. A lot of the typical sport stuff seems to be more the Street Profits game. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, because there's about, I think, 2 more weeks of content before Backlash. At least 2 more weeks of content. So you're going to have, hopefully, at least 2 more competitions between these two. What else do we have here? Well, we said last week that Austin Theory had turned to the Messiah. He was downtrodden. And this week, we got Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo teaming up in what was a weird team-up, but okie doke. Against the Messiah's sheep, or flock, and the flock actually come up with the win.
Yeah, we got to start building a tag team. Hey, why not? We need more bodies in that division. Especially since we lost the tag team that's supposed to be in this faction.
Yeah, I think the thing to note here is that after the match, they almost Rey Mysterio'd Humberto. It seems as though that might be the flock's intentions. And Aleister Black is sort of having this conflict on whether he should, try and stop it, whether he should try and let it happen. And he's sort of floating around in this morally grey area at the moment.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to be the foil for dear old Seth right now. Because obviously he got beat so badly by Drew that he'll never be the same again.
And it's raising, so many questions when you've got a leader who's completely unstable. You got some brand new flock members in Austin Theory. They seem to be targeting people, taking them out. Aleister Black is hanging around the feud, not necessarily interjecting himself, not necessarily stopping the attacks. And it's, you don't exactly know where the feud's heading. We've got, Seth Rollins losing the confidence of his flock, potentially. You've got Aleister Black taking over. You got Aleister Black taking down. There's options.
Yeah, definitely options. But then my question then turns to, what do you do with Buddy once this story's all over with?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I think if they've built up this tag team of Buddy Theory enough, and whatever happens with this feud doesn't shatter that, then that's still a decent little tag team to have a run in the division. Just because we don't know how the flock is going to eventually be sent into a million pieces.
Yeah, it's a matter of time before it actually does come to an end. But I guess the question then becomes: is now the time, or not?
Hmm.
And I want to see them stay together for a little while longer, and then I want to see, like, around Survivor Series after like a 5-on-5 match, and they lose, Buddy turn on Seth.
Mm-hmm.
That would, and beat Seth at the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think
and now you have an elevated Buddy Murphy.
If we're stretching out that long, then really you do have that angle, especially if people are in and out of Seth's flock, of Buddy saying, I was here with you from the start. I was your first disciple, and then all of a sudden, turning on them or whatever. So the story's there. You just gotta get to it if that is the direction that they are ultimately heading in. One thing I forgot to mention as we kicked off, that was obvious throughout this week's episodes on WWE television, and will presumably be the future going forward for a little while, is that we have crowds back in some form.
Yeah, it definitely helps, and I like that this crowd, quotation marks, it's acting like how a crowd should act. You cheer for the good guys, you boo for the bad guys. You don't yell a bunch of random nonsense.
Yeah, I guess the crowd, it's a little bit of both though as well, because obviously you've got a lot of guys from NXT and the Performance Center all around the ring, and some of them are heels themselves. So you do get the little pockets of like heel supporting heels kind of thing, which you'd get. Basically, you flip that, and that's what you'd get with a real crowd. But it definitely suits better having little pockets of that than it overpowering the match or whatever. And watching AEW's Double or Nothing as well, and seeing some of their weekly content throughout the times that they've been in the sort of lockdown-y phase, the crowd really does help. And in their case, I think since day one they've had other wrestlers out in the crowd, and it does make a difference. You think wrestling without crowds is fine, and then you just add that little bit of background noise of just like people talking, people cheering and that, and then it's just way better again.
Yeah, that's why I really struggled with WrestleMania. As much as I enjoyed it, it's just there was no noise.
Yeah, I think if they'd come to the realization to put NXT guys in the crowd earlier, I think it would have worked out better. Definitely. We got another feud heating up that we knew was coming. We knew it was there. Drew McIntyre versus MVP and Bobby Lashley.
Well, I hope MVP and Bobby Lashley enjoy getting their tushes handed to them at the pay-per-view, because there's no way on this planet that Bobby Lashley beats Drew McIntyre at this point in time for the title.
You see, I'm going to isolate that audio down. I'm going to remove the "at this time," and I'm going to just play "There's no way Bobby Lashley beats Drew McIntyre for the title." And I'm going to just play that over to get me to sleep every night. Because sometimes I need to be reminded.
As I said, Bobby Lashley would have had a chance if this was 3 months down the road, 4 months down the road. But Drew's still only in like his almost third month a champion. And it's his first reign. It's not like this is his 7th reign and it can end at any minute. I just don't think this was a wise idea. I get that they need new matches to get to SummerSlam, whatever they're going to do there. But I think this was a waste of a potential match down the road.
Yeah, that's really the problem that Raw has at the moment. There's no really good options for Drew to face. In terms of the heel camp. Bobby Lashley's kind of one of the only guys you got left. We did just... Is it time? Yeah, it looks like it's about time. We did just free up another man, though. Potentially down the line. Andrade could enter the fray.
I could see that. Especially since... whatever happened to him.
Yeah, well...
we'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, the method of freeing him up was his loss of his championship gold around his waist.
Yeah, yep. We have a new United States champion. And honestly, it's something that's probably been overdue for a while. Not Andrade losing the title. But, although, yeah, probably. But the thing that I'm talking about, though, is Apollo Crews is our new United States champion.
Sort of a sorry for the Money in the Bank thing. But yeah, Apollo Crews, United States champion. I believe his first gold in the WWE?
Yeah, he didn't have anything in NXT. He was in and out before he should have left NXT.
Mm-hmm. But
he never had anything there, and unfortunately he hadn't held anything up until this point because when he did the Titus Worldwide stuff, but never benefited from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they stopped and started on it, and then he just was floating around, injured, not doing anything, and now he's United States champion. This reminds me of when Kalisto won the title a few years back.
And look where he is now.
Hopefully this title reign ends much better for him than that one did.
Yeah, the guy deserves it. It'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. Obviously, Andrade had the title for quite a while before this. And as you say, Apollo Crews has been floating around for quite a while. We thought he was a bit of a strange inclusion when we were talking about Money in the Bank fields. Now it seems as though, they want to put Apollo Crews up in the mid-card, upper mid-card kind of area. And his inclusion made a little bit more sense in retrospect, if that's where they were aiming for him. But, alas, we are in the middle of our show, and that means that it is time for us to play the coveted entrance theme of the week. And the reason I saved this match until now is because Apollo Crews' theme is that song that we're playing for you right about now. And you're back with Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. My name is Grady, his is Josh, and we are now over into the SmackDown / NXT side of things as we look towards Braun Strowman's next challenger.
Hey, challengers.
It's not where we thought it was going.
No. Yeah, for some odd reason, they've decided to make Miz and Morrison the number one contenders. And a 2-on-1 handicap match. I just wanted to throw this out there. Braun didn't do so well in the last handicap match for a title he had.
Yeah. There's so many things about this match that we didn't expect. Obviously, we thought Bray Wyatt was going to bring out The Fiend. We thought that could potentially be his future. We thought Miz and Morrison would have broken up by now. They haven't broken up by now. So I do not know what is happening with this Universal Championship.
It's definitely in a limbo that we weren't expecting, but I think Braun's doing a good job.
Maybe Miz wins it.
And yeah, there's no Sami Zayn involved in this match, so I don't see the title changing hands.
But Miz could win it.
There's not a mastermind the level of Sami Zayn. That's what I would say.
But Miz can still win. It's possible. He could do it. Only to lose it to John Morrison, like, the next week. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
let's give him his fellow Clevelander friends chances. We're giving him a Dolph Ziggler chance.
Yeah. It's probably one of the only outcomes I can see is giving some sort of, like, they both pin him kind of thing, where the ref declares that one of them is the winner, and then they head off into their own little feud over the Universal Championship. But you can do that without a win. On it's your fault, we lost sort of thing. So they have options without changing the titles here. Changing title. Don't know which way it'll go, but as you say, it's like 99.9% chance of Braun Strowman retaining. Doesn't mean I won't predict against it in a couple weeks when we do our preview show.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's just like, this is probably what's going to happen, but I'd love to be surprised.
And talking about being surprised in this Intercontinental Championship tournament as a whole, not necessarily the bit we're about to talk about, AJ Styles defeats Nakamura and moves on. That one's the more expected side of things.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but then again, that was because he was a Raw guy in a SmackDown tournament. And then we found out he wasn't a Raw guy in a SmackDown tournament.
He's now a SmackDown guy in SmackDown.
A SmackDown guy in a SmackDown tournament. Because he's been traded for a player to be named later.
Hey, we'll see how it goes. But he is in the next round of the tournament. Now, the bigger surprise for me, sadly, I am crying many tears as we speak, Jeff Hardy defeating Sheamus in the opening round.
Yeah, which means because AJ won his match, that means I'm not going to get my way either.
We wanted a Sheamus Elias final, and I'm pretty sure neither of them are making it to the final.
No. In fact, I think it'll be a Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles match.
Yeah, well, the two matches this week to determine those final competitors are Elias versus AJ Styles, and as you say, I think that one is going to tip in the side of AJ Styles, while the other side is Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy. Yeah, classic face v face. I could see that one swinging either way to see who faces AJ Styles.
And that's why I don't see Elias winning now.
Yeah. I don't think the finals can be Elias Bryan.
If Sheamus had won, there was definitely a chance where it was like Elias versus Sheamus, it's a face versus a heel. Makes total sense. Sheamus falls, now there's two faces versus a face and a heel. And it's like, well, obviously one of those things isn't like the other.
Yeah.
And so yep, it gets an automatic pass to the finals.
Yeah, I don't see a Bryan versus Elias or a Hardy versus Elias final. But I can see both a Bryan versus Styles and a Hardy versus Styles final, so yeah. It's not good for the guitar player. So, both of our guys got screwed this week. Mine in a direct loss and yours in an indirect loss. Sometimes the world
And so Elias's only title will still be the 24/7 title.
Yeah, sometimes it be like that. And then one thing to note, not even going to note it. We're just going straight to NXT. Because it is time. We got to talk about this, okay? There was a 3-way tie in Group A for the Cruiserweight Championship tournament. And that tie was to be broken in a triple threat. And now I'm going to ignore the finish because it was a little off and a little goofy and a little didn't make sense. But all that matters is that Drake Maverick's hand was raised after the bell.
Yeah, yep. Drake Maverick is the winner of Block A. And will face the Luchador, whose name I can't pronounce at the moment.
We can go with Phantasma. Just use just his last name, because I cannot pronounce the first part either.
For winner takes all. Or so we think.
There's still a, luchador, mob out there.
Yeah. There's also, some British guy that currently holds the title, but isn't technically the champion, that could get involved.
Yeah. And Kushida did kind of get screwed by the ref's decision, but I think Drake Maverick promised Kushida the first title shot if he wins. All I know, at the end of all of this, is that Phantasma is going to be skyrocketed to the, worst heel in NXT position when he ruins Drake Maverick's Cinderella story.
Yeah. That definitely would be a position I wouldn't want to be in, which is why I don't think there'll be an outcome next week.
Okay.
I think somebody gets involved.
Well, the rumor since it all started, since it all kicked off, is that Phantasma was the guy leading the luchador mob out in the parking lot. So potentially, I guess that storyline could come to a head.
Yeah, I suppose so. It would be shocking to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, we want Drake to win because we want him to get his job back.
Yeah.
Will he? Probably not. But at the same time, I really don't see Fantasia winning for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody gets involved. No, there's no contest next week. And that pushes it on to the pay-per-view. And that's when Jordan Devlin comes back.
Okay. I don't know enough about travel restrictions. But yeah. That's real world stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Takes the title for himself.
I think
he never lost it.
The Cruiserweight Championship is definitely heating up at this point. And then the last thing to note before we run out of time on the show this week is the main event of NXT this last week. It was Timothy Thatcher versus Matt Riddle in an NXT Fight Pit match with Kurt Angle as the special guest referee. And it was an interesting one.
Reminds me of the Lions Den match they had for Ken Shamrock a few years back.
Yeah, that's all the comments that I read about this match were just Lions Den, Lions Den, Lions Den. If you didn't watch the match, basically it was submissions and KOs only. The cage looked a lot more rustic. And there was no climbing, no reason to do any of that. It was way more of a brawly kind of match, a technician brawl, than a high-flying kind of match.
Yeah. So who won?
You know, not the original bro.
Ah. So yeah, so his send-off match was a loss. Okay.
Yeah.
Because rumors are that he's going to SmackDown.
Riddle going out on his back, giving Thatcher that little bit of a push, that little bit of a rub before heading off to SmackDown, as you say. Probably, possibly, potentially, maybe. But that is all we have time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Baby.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling radio, Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling radio, and we'll see you next week.